everyone, I'm Luomei Lyu. I am the author of Yes, I Am a Feminist, Introduction for Young Students on Their Way to Becoming Lifelong Feminists. In my book, I talk about lots of gender issues like the difference between sex and gender, basic feminist ideas, intersex, transgender, intersectional feminists, Black, Latino, Asian feminists, transgender rights, and gender-based issues. I'm also the founder and president of a nonprofit organization project where we promote breaking down gender-based stigma and discrimination through providing educational resource. It's my great honor to be here with So Booking Cool and Joel B.
So fucking, so fucking, so fucking cool.
There's so much fucking cool. So listen to So Booking Cool.
Welcome to So Booking Cool, it's Jewel B. Today's guest is a high school senior who is the founder and first executive director of the Chang-E Project, a nonprofit organization that promotes breaking down gender-based stigmas and discrimination such as wage gaps, sweatshop labor, sexual harassment and violence, girls' education, and son preference. The company provides educational resources, initiatives, journalism, art competitions, and last but certainly not least, empowers the voices of Asian and American youth to take a stand against these issues. Her book is called Yes, I Am a Feminist, an introduction for young students on their way to becoming lifelong feminists. Here with us today, she is Luomei Lyu. Stay tuned for our conversation only on So Booking Cool. So Luomei, how have you been doing during the pandemic and everything that's been playing out during that time, this time?
It's been great. I guess being able to stay home and being able to plan out my own time based on my own schedule has always been like a dream of mine. And then during the quarantine, I actually accomplished a lot of things on my own, like outside of school. It's been a great time, even though it's sad to be in quarantine. But I think I really took advantage of the flexibility and then the freedom of being able to schedule my own time. Yeah.
And speaking of accomplishing things on your own, when did you decide that you wanted to start the Chang-E Project?
It was it was in an English class one night. The teacher gave us freedom to talk about anything in our life that's important to us. So the teacher also emphasized the storytelling in a speech and in a TED talk, like mock TED talk. So I thought back about my life and then the struggles I went through. So I realized that one big struggle in my life was that how my parents treated me different. Like I was getting physically and emotionally abused by my parents. So I didn't know it was because of my gender before that. But after I was researching for my a speech project, the TED Talk, I realized that it was because of my gender, and lots of people around the world are experiencing the same thing I was experiencing. So I decided to start a Chang-E Project, which it breaks down gender-based discrimination, the stigmas all around the world through providing educational resource. I wish I can use this project to empower more girls and women who are treated unfairly.
Wow. So you grew up in China. Was that when you went through that as you were raised in China?
Yes, it was. Domestic violence was so common in China. It happened on me both privately and publicly. It's kind of normalized in China. You can even in public, you can see parents hitting their kids, and then people think it's normal because the parents are just teaching the kids how to behave, but which is not right, because the fact that the violence is being normalized is just sad. Yeah. And that's happened to me when I was young, and I think it's so important to let people know, like young girls, boys know how it shouldn't be this way. We need to let them know what's right. These things cannot be happen to them. It's not right. They have the right to stand up against it.
So did you say this is something that I want to start, but I want to get other people in my age group involved too?
Yes, definitely. That's why for my project, I ask a lot of friends joining me, and now we for my Chang-E Project, we are a sex ratio balanced organization. So we have same number of boys and girls. It's so important to raise awareness among my peer group, including all genders.
Yeah, you guys are they're all genders and different backgrounds and nationalities.
Yeah,
So why was that important to you?
because gender issues, it's existing all over the world. So every country, there's not like one country that don't have gender inequality. So um, like I'm studying in high school where there are lots of diversity, and I think that's just gave me a great opportunity to talk to people all around the world about the gender issue in their cultural background and in their country.
And speaking of, young people and stuff, I know that you go to the same school that Arjun Marwaha attended. He has been on So Booking Cool before. He's a climate change activist as well as an author. So have you guys crossed paths before?
Actually, not really, but we do have common friends. As I'm building my project, a friend of mine actually told me that he's doing similar things a year before, and I actually watched the interview between you and like with him, and he also talked about the TED Talk in our AP Lang class. I mean, we had the same teacher. It was very cool. So, but I think the environmental activist is very similar to like the feminist activists, because we are all fighting for something that to better our world.
Yes. Oh, I love that. You made the connection between the two. Yeah, those are two very important issues. Do you think that people in your age, teenagers and stuff, should be doing TED Talks or having some kind of TED Talk lessons in their class? Like, is it helpful?
It's so helpful. I mean, it will give you great skill to be able to talk and talk about your story. And I think one of the very important thing to have is being able to speak up and just that everyone hear your voice. Like having a voice in today's society is so important. I think being able to have this skill to tell a good story and to persuade people, to tell people your ideas, and then it's just so important, very, very critical in our life.
And what are the misconceptions that people have about gender?
I guess one of the um, I actually did an independent research in the past summer, and in my finding for that research is that lots of people they say man and woman equal, but they don't really think of equality. So I think one of the biggest misconception is that uh, lots of people don't think there is actually gender-based issue exists. For my research, it was based on a vlog from a very famous Chinese dancer. She posted a like vlog on Chinese social media, and a woman commented how a woman's biggest failure is not having a child of her own. So a newspaper did a poll on this topic, and the result turned out the majority, a good, very big percentage of people are supportive of women's autonomy and rights. But then I was curious because this result doesn't align with the the women, like the discrimination women are facing in daily life. So I also did a statistic analysis. So I went on another Chinese social media website. I went on, like, I collect the comments under the discussion, how do people define women's success. So it was on Chinese cyberspace, and the statistic turned out that it's very uplifting, because more than half the people are supportive of women's rights. They believe women should have choice in their life. But then I did detailed text analysis into these comments and realized that lots of the comments, it's like, we are living in a bubble. It's like when you play a monopoly, you have those underlying value, which is get the money, right? So we are living in this system. It's called patriarchy, where we, men, women, everyone, all involved in, we don't realize that we are actually in this system. So because we living in, we don't see it. So a lot of the comment we say is actually very sexist, but we don't think it's sexist. So I think that's a very big concern of mine, is that people don't think gender people don't believe the existence of gender equality, even though they are all over the place. So I think that's why the education for on the gender issue is so important.
What are the different ways that people can educate themselves about gender? I mean, obviously, your research project, your nonprofit organization, is a great way to learn.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's really important to bring all this important conversation into life. Like, it's so important to talk about gender, talk about the concept with family, friends in your daily conversation. Yeah.
How has your family responded to you starting your initiative?
My parents don't really care, but it's like subtle change. It's funny thing is, it sounds crazy, but my mom was trying to have this talk about sex with me because I'm like 18, and then she's traditional Chinese. She grew up and then lived in China for like 45 years. She's for like 45 years old. So like she's very like Chinese, I guess. So she said something like, you have to you cannot have sex before marriage. Otherwise, you are worthless. You are done with your life. It's over, all over. And first of all, I think whether or not have sex before marriage, it's a very personal thing. It's your individual choice. You have to right to choose have it or not. So I actually made her apologize to me. I sent her, I like screenshot my research paper, a paragraph, and I sent it to her. I told her that my worth is depends on what I do and what I believe. That's what defines my value. It that what I do with my body doesn't define me as a girl. Yeah. So and then she actually is very very nice, and she actually very open minded and accept my belief, and she actually apologized to me based on the sentence that if I have sex before marriage, I'm worthless. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing that you were able to, I guess, enlighten her and stuff. Do you think that that's easy for, for children to be able to kind of get their parents to see their point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate how open-minded my mom is, I guess. Yeah, it's just so nice to see how I can influence, because like, I guess not so much in American society, still a little bit, but in Chinese society, like, we are not supposed to talk about sex. We cannot if you have sex before marriage, you basically, it's very bad thing. Like, people call you like just very bad for girl, which is, but for boy that's different case. So, and they somehow connect having sex with being worthless to girl, which is, I think it's ridiculous. So being able to change my mom's point of view and perspective, and I think that's really powerful and very interesting.
Yes, and speaking of boys, so on your website, I know you mentioned that part of what inspired the Chang-E was like your younger brother, the comment that you heard him say about gender. So just tell the listeners more about that and where he is today as far as gender goes.
All right, so before I didn't really know what the feminist word means, both in Chinese and English. So and then as I start to when I first heard of this word, I thought it's like feminist was such an ancient concept, right? Isn't gender equality already exist today? How why are we have those feminist activists fighting for women's right? I thought it was like not necessary at all. So, but then I just start to, as I'm doing research, I start to realize all these small details that happen in life. So one day, my brother actually said that how he's gonna have boy child. If he's gonna have girl child, he's gonna like have a abortion or something. I definitely like yell back, say like you can't even find yourself wife, just like in joking way. But then I actually reflect on that. I just realized how much those cultural taboo about gender and then like the underlying value are affecting the our next generation. I think a big factor that involved in it is because how my family actually value boys more than girls. Um, it was because in my family we have three children, so like I'm the oldest and I have a sister and my brother's youngest. When my dad had my brother, like I have a like boy child, he was so happy. Like he was texting everyone how saying how he got a son. He finally got a son. So I think those kind of conversations repeatedly coming up in our daily life, and just because we have those conversations, that's it's like the root cause of why like our generation, like my brother, are saying stuff like that. It's
Mhm.
very heartbroken, but I guess just gotta try our best to educate and have this conversation with people around us to change people's perspective from now on. Yeah.
Yeah. How long do you think it can take for somebody to just change their perspective, even when it comes to gender identity and the way that, some people identify, some people don't identify by gender and stuff and are non-binary. So what do you think in terms of like how people say they don't understand that? Because they say I've grown up where it was just two genders and stuff. So is it how long do you think it can take, or will people ever change their perspective on gender identity?
I actually don't think it's gonna happen very soon because I actually had this conversation with a friend of mine. He told me how he believed just a boy and girl. Um our that's how it's supposed to be. It's how the society is supposed to be. But one thing you have to take note on is boys and girls, the two gender are given by the cultural value, the society, like there's a human factor involved in it. But if you look at the biological side of it, how do we determine gender? We look at the reproductive organ, right? We have the chromosome and we have the hormone. So that's what determine gender. But there are like various chromosomes. There are various genes. It's not just two gender. There are many gender biologically, and then the two gender that's given by the cultural sense. It's very narrow-minded. I think it's really hard for us to really change somebody's mind if they really believe in it. But we cannot just stop not talking about it. We have to try our best to get the information out there. Yeah. And then another like point I want to bring up is that even though you think there's only two gender, you have to respect all people of all gender. You have to respect how they identify themselves. I think respect is so important.
So tell us about your book, Yes, I Am a Feminist, an introduction for young students on their way to becoming lifelong feminists.
Yeah, so I wrote this book. Here's my book.
There it
I
is.
brought it here today. So it's a book. It's not really heavy on writing because my goal is my audience is my target audience is kids in like elementary school. So I put lots of graphic design and into it to make it more interesting, engaging for kids to understand those concepts. So this book includes like two definition of feminist, basic feminist idea, type of feminism, sex and gender, like the difference between, and then intersex, transgender, intersectional feminist. So it includes Black, Latino, Asian, and the transgenders right, and those gender-based issues such as non-profit, educational rights, sexual harassment, wage gap, and also sweatshop labor. So it's a very fun like graphic and some writing. It had and I guess it's just very cool for kids to get a sense of the concepts in a very engaging way and like not boring way.
hmm And what is some of the feedback that you've been getting so far for Yes, I Am a Feminist?
Well, I actually got a comment on Amazon. Like, I don't really know that person, but there's I guess it's a lady commented how her kids really like the graphics in the book, and I was so happy to get a comment like that.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I understand that you want your book to be as accessible as it possibly can be,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
To,
Yeah,
Mhm.
so my main goal for this book, I'm not trying to make money or anything. I'm just, I actually said on my website that if anyone want a copy, I can just email me. I can provide a free PDF copy.
Yeah, show us it again. Show us the book again.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes. What went into the cover for it? It's really nice. I'm seeing goddess.
Yes. So first I want to talk about my title first.
Mhm.
So yes, I am feminist. It's my book's title. I actually use capital letter for this part. Yes, I'm a feminist. I know using this like all capital letters might divide potential readers, but because it's very the feminist word seems very aggressive, man-hating. It's not attractive as a person for me personally. Like saying I'm a feminist, like bold in bold letter, just seems so unattractive like culture wise just in today's social media and among my peer group, but I still chose to use it because it's I wanna be the example for girls and boys to be able to stand up and proudly say I'm a feminist. And my logo behind this book is actually the logo for my Chang-E Project, the nonprofit I founded in the past summer. So it's actually a feminist symbol. If you can see, it's like a circle and a cross. But then it's also a moon because Chang-E is actually the name of the goddess of the moon in Chinese mythology. It represents peace and women's importance in Eastern culture. So I just think it's really important. And then like Chang'e is also a play on the English word change, which represents evolution, positive shift we want to see in our society. So that's the meaning behind the cover of my book and also the logo of my Chang'e project.
Oh, that is wonderful. What is your advice for people out there who want to make a change?
I guess just support each other. It's really important for girls to support each other, for boys to support girls, and girls also support boys. Just yes, always keep in mind that we have those gender issues existing in today's society, and we are all together to fight for it.
All together to fight for it. Yes. Another thing I want to touch on is when we were talking before, I mentioned that how does it feel, to be a businesswoman in her teens? I love what you said. You said, "Oh, you called me a businesswoman because you don't quite see yourself as that, right?"
Yeah. No, not really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why is that?
I guess well, I'm not really doing anything money related, I guess. But my understanding about business is about changing the world. Now that I think about it, I guess you can call me that. Just in different ways and forms.
Right, but you're just really in it, like you said, you're not in it for the money at all. You just want to make an impact and stuff.
Right.
And you interview people as well. You're a journalist. Have there been any interviews that have been especially memorable to you, or what inspires you to talk to other people?
Well, I've talked to lots of people. I actually post all the interviews on YouTube, and also some people don't want to show their face, so I post it on the podcast and on Spotify as a podcast episode. So it's so inspiring to hear how some women who are very successful in their life give advice to girls to be strong, very independent. Just very inspiring to put all the conversation out there.
And you have art competitions. It's just great what you're doing.
Yeah,
So
so last Friday we actually hosted a speaker event. It was a huge event I was hosting. It was super cool.
wow, so booking cool.
Yeah,
Let's
so
say
cool.
someone.
So fucking cool.
You know what, everyone, Luomei Lyu. Luomei Lyu, thank you so much. I loved talking with you, and I'm glad that we were able to connect again and make this right. And how can people keep up with you and your project? And yes, I am a feminist, and the podcast, all of that.
Oh yeah, please go visit my website www.chang-E project.org or follow us on Instagram. It's chang-E-project.
Guys, make sure you do that, okay? Any words out there of encouragement that you want to give everybody while we are in this pandemic?
We are all in this together, and please, 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 if you see anyone who are in need of help, especially in this quarantine where we are forced to stay home with our family, we can't go out. If you see anyone like have any sign of needing help or getting some sort of domestic violence or any form of discrimination, just please stand up and do something about it.
Love that. Thank you again, Luomei. And thank you to all the listeners. Until next time, so booking cool.
Thank you, Joby.
It's so motherfucking cool.